I've never been before. It's my first time. Very excited to be here, and I just wish they would let us in.
So you got the unfortunate character by the name of Cain, which is kind of a dead giveaway. Maybe he doesn't have the best
Why is that a
intentions.
giveaway?
Hey, Cain and Abel. I mean, even if they spell it
K-A-N-E?
it still sounds like Cain.
I know what you mean, yeah.
So perhaps you could tell us whether or not you actually see your character as kind of a dark-sided villain, or
No.
if he's got better motives involved.
Yeah, I think I was just saying that I don't think he's a villain at all. I think he's someone who is trying to save or do his best to save the human race from extinction. And the way he goes about it is a bit more severe, a bit more draconian perhaps. So I think he's a moral character. I think, I was just saying, I think if he had done something wrong, would he float himself? I certainly hope so. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what villain ever thinks that they're a villain?
Exactly. So
I'm not saying that it is.
Right, but you're absolutely right. I think you're right. No villain ever thinks. Doesn't matter who you are. Hitler? Did Hitler think he was a villain? Let's not talk about that.
Are you comparing yourself to Hitler?
Definitely. That's why I said let's not talk about that. Moving on.
So what can you tell us about that?
Well, has anyone seen it?
Yes.
Okay. So you've seen it.
I know. Your perspective.
I know. From my perspective, it's for me, what drew me in was the dilemma of how do you say. First of all, the idea that I could be part of a race that's extinct and having to think about that. I think that's a really interesting question. I'm thinking about it now. That's how interesting it is. So just to be part, to have, and then how awful would that be to let that happen, to let your race die out, and the pressure that would be upon. I think it's a really interesting dilemma. So, but also it's a lot of fun. The show, it has elements that are lost-ish. You wouldn't have. And the whole, it's fun. It's a fun show that I hope, like all good sci-fi should do, is ask interesting and important questions.
I think that's one of the touch points that your character kind of represents is these people have to make some incredibly difficult decisions. And I think your character's much more willing to make those decisions. And I'm curious.
Thank you.
How that?
Yeah, I think to make those, you've got to have big balls to make those decisions, to make those cuts, to cull, not everyone could do that, and I think, and I'd like to see that explored more, so then hopefully people will go, yeah, I understand why he's doing that, I agree with him to a certain degree. It depends how right-wing or left-wing you are, so that's what I mean about, it could be an interesting question about what would you do to save the race.
You had to go through the craziness of Lost. Being on Lost, have you prepared all the younger cast members what it may be like for them going forward if the show just picks up?
No, I think we all have our own journeys. So, I let them. Even though they are playing 18, they're not. They're 25, 26. So I'm sure they can figure it out.
You obviously your most prominent role was Lost, another genre sci-fi sort of ish show. Though even though your character really started out more of a little bit more of a basic drama especially with the flashback material, but now that you're in a show that is a little bit more overtly sci-fi because all your stuff is on the Ark, right? Does the trappings of sci-fi change your process at all? Do you look at the drama differently at all? Do you prepare differently?
No. Well, let's see. Do I prepare differently? As I would with any role, I would explore, what my environment. So I just Googled the effects of space. You just do any sort of preparation. You can go on the internet now and find so much information about. And that leads from one thing to the other. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can find on the internet about the effects of space, about astronauts. When it comes to religion or their views. So I just did that sort of preparation. That's what I would do with any role, I think. Yeah.
You almost try to, except for a little bit of research on that, you used to approach it just
As any other
role.
ultimately it's a drama. Like all drama, it's about relationships, about dealing with the what is your objective, what's your super objective, and what's in your way, and so it's all.
How would you describe the Chancellor's relationship with Kane? We couldn't quite get our finger.
No,
on
and
it.
I can't either yet. I'll be honest with you, because all we have is that scene. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that. If he's with me, if he's against me.
Yeah, that seemed to be a more interesting dichotomy as we're
It
looking
is,
at the
because people
adult
keep saying
drama.
I'm trying to take his power, but I don't think. Sometimes it's more powerful to be the man standing behind the man in power. So we'll see how that plays. Hello.